neighborhood, all full of factories and warehouses, and not one of those are factories and warehouses anymore. They've all been converted into high-end luxury apartments for the 1%ers. A lot of celebrities live in Tribeca: Robert De Niro, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Claire Danes, the list goes on. Glass building, you can see right through it as a new apartment house going up. For the 1%ers, I have seen the floor plans, the amenities those apartments are getting are beyond belief. Some of those apartments get their own private indoor swimming pool. Then we're on the Greenwich Village waterfront. This is the West Village. There used to be a prison here between 1796 and 1828. It was called Newgate Prison. New York was not, the city was not here yet. This was all farms and fields. New York City was way at the southern tip. So they put a prison here, and an expression arose that we still use today when people are being sent to prison. They're being sent up the river. We still use that today. This is the river. That is where the prison was. Noisy West Side Highway. I did not know they were turning it into a leafy boulevard with recreational piers. This is all 21st century. Every bit of green you see here is 21st century. But they built those, and the rich people started moving in. The building on the very right, the top three. On the right here, this abandoned pier has been rented out by Anthony Bourdain, the celebrity chef. He's been combing the world for chefs and cooks to come from all over, from all the continents, and started an international food market. Come back in 2 years, we'll walk up and down the aisles of this pier. Plans of that building, every floor is one apartment. Every floor gets its own one-car garage. You take a car elevator up, you pull into your garage, you walk into your apartment. Who could ask for anything more? Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban live in that one. It's not the only building you can drive up into. It's the only residential, the apartment building you can drive up into. There's this huge building coming up on the right. I've been in this one, river terminal that goes into Pennsylvania Station. They've roofed that over and are building a city within a city. Not only are they building a city within a city, it is the single most expensive private development in the history of this country. The largest private development in New York City is in the Rockefeller Center. They're building office towers, they're building luxury apartment buildings, they're building affordable housing, they're building an art center, they're building a public school, they're building a hotel, they're building the city's first Neiman Marcus department store, they're building over 100 new stores and restaurants, they're building at least 14 acres of open parkland. They say when they're finished building in 2025, 125,000 people a day will live and work in Hudson Yards. They've been 20 blocks to a mile. You always know how far you've walked north and south in New York City. When you count the blocks, divide by 20, you've got your miles. You think in kilometers, you can go online and find a calculator that switches from miles to kilometers. Hudson River safely so that not one of the 155 people lost their lives. That has never been heard of before. 155 people landing in water in a powerless jet plane, and all people got to live. We called it Miracle on the Hudson. It happened right over here to the right, pretty much where that speedboat is, to the right of us, to the right of the ferry boat that's coming in. A little further up the river from that speedboat now, to the left of the barge up there. Just narrowly missed hitting one of the towers of the George Washington Bridge up there. The George Washington Bridge, built in 1931, was a record-breaking bridge. It was the longest bridge in the world. Sets a record every single day to this day. It is the most heavily trafficked bridge on the planet. More cars, trucks, buses, and bicycles cross the George Washington Bridge than any other bridge. If there's an Eduardo Avila on board, you lost your Visa card. It will be up in the pilot house. You know, there's maps that show you what's going to be above water when the ice caps melt. My neighborhood is still above water with ice caps. So if we are at sea level, you can see those low-rise buildings, those three small apartment buildings. They look like they're just about 2 or 3 feet above the height of the water line. Ocean's Rise, you can see how it couldn't get put up right away. It did not come with a pedestal base. And there was no money for a pedestal base. The U.S. government was not going to pay 1 penny for this. The government wanted nothing to do with this. This was not an icon when it came over. It was a statue this French guy sent over. Because something becomes an icon through time. Wasn't when it came to America. He just put the Declaration of Independence in her left hand to make it American. And in fact, her robes turn out to be the classic robes of an Egyptian female slave, which is why she has a broken shackle at her ankle. So I will leave you with those thoughts while you. A trip to the Statue of Liberty for generations traditionally meant going to the island, climbing to the top of her crown and looking out of those windows up there. After the events of 9/11, you couldn't even go to the island. Completely shut off. The security was so high. For years, you couldn't even go to the Statue of Liberty. Then they opened it up again, so you could only climb to the top of the pedestal base. That's what most of these people are doing here. Climbing to the top of the pedestal base. Recently, they have said they're going to allow people to the top of the crown again, but they're not making it easy on you. You can't even get your tickets here in New York. The only place to get tickets